So how do you really help the client or the candidate to understand what it is that's going to make working with us the right thing to do?
I think first of all they need to be comfortable with us. It's very much a partnership situation and doing what is right for all parties, both the client and the candidate, because we want longevity, we want success.
Our approach is not the standard approach. We do expect and look for commitment from our clients, which allows us to work in a different manner.
But a trust commitment that we're working on their behalf.
But then you earn that, don't you, by the way that you work?
Exactly, and that's demonstrated in the length of time that we've been working for some of our clients. 20 odd years.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. 20 odd years for me as well. But your amount of experience of knowing what fits in that business and where to go to find the people just puts you at such an advantage. Yeah. It's also what's happening to bring in new talent and I guess bring in people from different industries.
Well, not only just different industries, but from different educational backgrounds. My two sons, for example, one did history and one did politics at university. Both are now within agriculture and are doing really, really well. And I'm very keen for them to develop their careers because I think the opportunities for those youngsters going forward is phenomenal. And I think experience in doing a particular job is one thing, but I think the potential and the intelligence and application of that intelligence by the youngsters, it is achievable, and my two sons demonstrate that. And I think we need to be more lateral in terms of the thinking, in terms of they don't have to come from agricultural college in order to be successful.
Probably an advantage we bring in terms of understanding what sort of people will fit our industry enables us to go broader and out of our industry to actually ascertain whether somebody has the right character to fit in agriculture. It always makes me smile when you walk up to a business and it's got investors in people on the door. And boy, they don't invest. And I always think that the clients that work with us are the true investors in people. Well, I think that's where we win over by the time that we spend with a candidate initially. And whether it's the initial telephone calls when we're researching, whether it's the next stage when we're really getting to know the person, is that ability to dig in and find out what actually switches that individual on. And are you getting this where you're working, and do you see the opportunity to get where you want to in the future, or can we in fact deliver this with our client? Is this something, and again sometimes you go back to the client and say, well actually if you do want to recruit this person, we're going to need to look at the responsibility spec and change that probably if you want to attract them.
Yeah, and that's a good point in terms of the flex that the potential employer sometimes needs to demonstrate, whether it's to do with the job involvement and the aims of the particular role, or whether it's something to do with actually the rewards. And sometimes I think to have, this is the fixed, I'm going to offer a band, a place within a particular band, that the actual employer has to be a little bit more creative, as well as ourselves being creative in the first place.
If the bait on the hook isn't attracting the right fish, you need to think about the bait.
Yeah. Which sometimes the client needs our advice as much as the candidate in terms of what the market values are.
I much prefer to set off with a very, very broad remit because often I'll say to the client, the market will tell us what we need to pay.
And it's our job to actually provide choice in terms of if you want to pay that level of remuneration, that is the sort
That's the reality.
That's the reality of what you get. However, if you're willing to invest more, well then the potential and how that individual can add value to your business,
and whether in fact they've got the capability and the resources to develop an inexperienced person, because it's no good bringing grads in if you're just going to leave them to sink or swim. You've got to provide a structured support infrastructure.
It's absolutely critical that if the younger element is being brought in, that there is that resource and structure to grow and develop that person. If not, it's a short-term thing and it's unlikely to be successful.
I look back and it probably is going back to, it will be 23, 24 years, and one of the first assignments I ever handled, I made a phone call and approached a guy and didn't realise at that time that he actually lived, it obviously became apparent as the conversation went on, that he actually lived 7 doors away from me. My children and his children went to school together. And on that phone call, I saw the for sale sign go up on the house, and they moved.
Because it's not just one person's decision normally. There's normally a partner in the background.
Yeah.
What do you do or say to the candidate regarding, it's a big decision for the whole family, not just you?
Well, in certain instances, we've brought the partner forward into the process at a later stage, and they've met with the future employer, especially if there's a relocation involved.
Actually, I had that scenario just last week. I was bringing a guy over from Italy. We were meeting at Stansted. His wife came along because it was important. He felt the candidate that his wife met the potential employer, and sat in, had lunch with us, and I think they got to know the client, because that person had to be comfortable, being employed by a UK business, but operating over in Italy. Big risk for the whole family.
There's a lot of people out there in the industry who really do trust our brand and trust what we stand for, because I guess we are the brand. And what I'll often say to a candidate when I meet them is, look, let's just screw that job up and throw it over there and forget about it. The job that we came to talk about initially, let's just talk about you. And it's really quite interesting how that gets the candidate to open up. We're not a CV sending organisation. We work on committed assignments. I know that's a bit of jargon, but it means that we are working on assignments, looking for people to fulfil those, as opposed to a business that starts with a candidate and tries to find them a job. But it's much better that we know where the candidates are, because not knowing what that next phone call is going to be, if they're looking for somebody that has that person's skills and motivations, we know where to go and find them in advance of any advertising or further headhunting activity. So, for candidates, I guess if somebody's desperate for a job, it's, I guess, a luck of timing if they contact us and we're handling the right sort of assignment at that time. However, and I think it's also important to say that we don't advertise everything that we handle, and a lot of our jobs are handled under the radar. So again, put your details with us, and we're going to come and talk to you if it's a relevant conversation to have. Confidentiality is critical, isn't it, really? And our track record of working for so many years, and we own and possess an awful lot of secrecy, whether it's from a candidate's perspective or a client's perspective, and it's a real responsibility that you don't divulge anything. And I know that, I guess it's probably a criticism of the recruitment industry, and probably why some people that contact us can be reticent at first, is that what they've said has actually been broadcast. And for us, it is only when we've actually met somebody and we've agreed and understood what it is that they want, and if they're comfortable with that being communicated, that we actually then will sit and talk to the relevant audience. And again, I guess it's a benefit for candidates and clients ultimately that we handle things in that way and don't just put information out and about into the market, but very focused in that confidential manner on bringing people together.
Both from an ethical point of view, but also from a commercial point of view. No one, if our reputation was damaged, would actually want to engage with us, whether they be a candidate or a client. So our credibility is based on that confidentiality.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've often joked with candidates that the reason that we don't talk about them is that we don't want anybody approaching them, whereas actually it is to protect them. That's the most important aspect of it.